Hi, I'm Sophia. My younger sister Zoe is super interested in the topic of human geography. Her curiosity got me excited, so I thought I'd look into the topic myself. Zoe can't join us today because she's off hunting demons. No matter what it sounds like, human geography is not a part of your sex ed class. A branch of geography, it differs from physical geography in that it is the study of humans and their relationship with their environment. Another term for how human activity affects or influences the Earth's surface, and vice versa, is anthropogeography. Say that 3 times fast. Anthropogeography. 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 Today we are studying urban land use. The models of urban land use and the study of human geography had its own hotshot intellectuals who all came from the University of Chicago. We're in college. Whee! This isn't the University of Chicago, it's actually UCLA, because that's where I live. The study of urban land use is so important because over half of the world's population lives in cities, and the number is growing. A deeper understanding of urban land use can lead to solutions for global warming, certain natural disasters, energy efficiency, and water usage. College, the good old days where you could put your boxers in a tree. Each urban location provides its own challenges and gifts. Los Angeles is a desert, meaning lots of sun. Because of the sun, Los Angeles has a really high photovoltaic capacity. Say that 3 times fast. Photovoltaic. I did it. Los Angeles' gift is that it has a lot of opportunities for solar power. It is in a desert, and thus the cloudless sunny sky can effectively energize millions of solar panels. The early 20th century was ripe with thought. Why so much innovation in the early 20th century? Well, the invent of cars. The first model I'm going to discuss is the concentric zone model, which was developed by E.W. Burgess in 1925. Burgess argues that urban land use is best represented by a series of concentric circles. The model recognizes 5 distinct zones that go from the industrial districts to high-class residential areas. Speaking of the concentric model, I like to drink round things. The second model is Homer Hoyt's sector model. This model assumes the land use is conditioned by transportation routes radiating outward from a city center. Industrial, retailing, and residential districts extend out from the central business district like wedges. Hoyt saw the best housing extending north from Chicago along Lake Michigan. These geographer dudes sure like Chicago. The third model is the multiple nuclei model, which was developed by C.D. Harris and E.L. Ullman in 1945. This model is used for urban areas that have multiple focal points, or nuclei, rather than one main city center influencing land use, such as a shipping hub near an ocean port. So we're at UCLA about to meet with Professor Brian D. Taylor, who is the professor of urban planning and the director of the Lewis Center for Regional Policy. He's also the director of the Institute of Transportation Studies.
Hello.
Hi, nice to meet you, Sophia.
Sophia, I'm Brian. Come in.
So today we're learning about the models of urban form. Can you explain why it's important to learn about these models?
Sure. We study the form and function of cities because we want to know why we have cities and how we can make them work in the most efficient and effective and equitable way possible. And so to do that, we have to make decisions about where uses could go. And the uses like housing, commercial use, industrial, how they should be arranged relative to one another, how much density we should allow, what kind of transportation system we should have on that, how we deal with the problems related to public health, sanitation, water, power. To do that, we have to understand how the city ought to be shaped, how it's formed. It's a creation of human beings for human beings. So to try and understand that, scholars about 100 years ago started looking at the cities that were existing. This was a time of rapid industrialization and growth. The rise of the electric streetcar in the late 1800s had meant that suburbs were growing very quickly, and people tried to grapple with what was the shape of cities. And so we started with simple models first that looked at just describing the shape of the city. Burgess noticed that Chicago seemed to be in rings, that they were rings around the central business district, and each of those rings tended to have a different kind of land use. There were things where working people lived, where industry was, where commerce and business and banking occurred, where higher income people lived. And then a series of urban geographers and sociologists developed succeedingly more sophisticated models, Homer Hoyt and others that followed him, that tried to describe how it is that cities function. Over time, those descriptive models have gradually been replaced by what we call causal models. That's why has the high-tech industry centered in a suburb near Stanford University? Or the entertainment industry here in Los Angeles. What things pull it into here and what things are pushing it out. In a later part of the industrial era, and the main way to get around in Los Angeles early on was by electric streetcar, and later by private automobile. And because of that, it doesn't have the dense old city that we see in many eastern cities. And it also is on the largest flat plain on the Pacific Rim, so there's a lot of space to move. However, it is bounded by the ocean in the west, and very, very steep and high mountains in the east. And so it is constrained physically in how it can grow. Those things have shaped Los Angeles in certain ways. But we know that there is an industrial core that moves from the ports in Los Angeles and Long Beach up to the rail yard southeast of downtown LA. We know that there's more affluent housing that goes along the hills, along Sunset Boulevard, all the way out to the ocean. So when we look at that and we look at the traditional models, we say, well, none of them really fit. But if you take Homer Hoyt's sector model and you actually just flip it over and you put it on Los Angeles from about Santa Monica, Pacific Palisades down to Long Beach, you actually get something that looks very, very similar to the model that he had, which is the basic arrangement of land uses. So even today in a modern city like Los Angeles, we do find that these old descriptive models may offer some insight into how land uses are arranged in the city.
Great, thank you so much. I didn't say that like a person. Zoe would be here to say goodbye, but she's competing in the Hunger Games. Well, that's all. I hope you enjoyed learning about city models from me and Zoe. And my dog. You smell like fish.
Floor.
Zoe would be here to tell us all about this, but she's off making a clay bust of Ted Cruz.